Alright guys, what's up? It's Gnomes here again with Cal, and we're watching now a game between Balbala and Ruiz, and something or other, and Ruiz.
Yeah.
And there we go, we just saw the Ravish on the Putrid Creeper, and Cal has a lot to say about this because, you know, he's playing Forsaken Wastes, and Cal has a lot to say about Forsaken Wastes. So,
I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about Putrid Creeper, but yeah, like Ravish is. I said in the previous video, I think Ravish is sort of the weaker of the three options if you're playing Worms. But outside of Worms, it's okay. You can do some tech stuff. Like there, because it's a destroy effect, you can destroy the Putrid, or the Polluted Martyr, pardon me, and get a small stat bonus for it, as opposed to, you know, not doing that. I'm not sure it's really worth that much, but it's all right. Now he has chopping blocks out, which are going to be really good against some of these things like Alchemist or Mortar. I honestly think Consume is just better in chopping blocks because it makes your Putrid Creeper like incredibly hard to kill, and helps you control targets much better. And it's only like cooldown 2, but you know, he's trying out Ravish. Consume is also cheaper.
The Mortar is 83 Nora. It's pretty crazy. Except Schism.
Yeah, Seism's. But it's one of those. I mean, I'm just guessing. I'm pretty sure it's Seism, but I could be wrong. Seism's a pretty expensive ability, and the champ is running like 5 to 7 range, and it's like Fire Blast and stuff. So,
but
he costs a fair bit.
But it's AP. It takes 4 AP to hit, and gets 5 AP a turn. So it's like, well, I'm never gonna be able to double attack.
Yeah, he's I don't think it's honestly that great of a champ, but it's neat. It's cool to see people running it. Maybe it does the things he wants it to do for his deck.
Kind of a weird deck. What is it supposed to be? Because he has some Torton, then he has a Skeezy Alchemist. So what's the idea behind this deck?
Looks like just mixed junk to me. Could be just building a split for runes that he likes or runes that he thinks are strong. I don't see any like big theming going on here. Fish Kisser's pretty good, and there he's you can tell he knows a little bit about the game because he used Manic positioning to get himself into the font, and he wasn't worried about losing the font over that.
Yeah, that's good. Either that, or he didn't have Nora on either of the other champions.
AP. Yeah, well, I mean, he could have moved in with Fish Kisser if he'd wanted to, if he was actually worried about that and thought it would be a problem, but you can tell that he didn't, and so he knew it wouldn't be.
What I'm always confused about is which way the Fish Kisser moves when he
yeah.
It's always down and then right?
It follows the knockback chart pretty much.
Yeah.
So like, he's always essentially going to move counterclockwise. Like that's the way to think about it. Is that he's going to rotate counterclockwise until he's in line with the closest enemy, and then move directly towards them. So he was directly in line with Executioner, who's the closest champion, and you can tell if you just like do a little check a couple angles, and so he's just going to move directly towards it. I guess Ballballer could have messed with the Manic movement a little bit, but it wouldn't have been worth it. And yeah, using Steal Life there to make sure that chopping blocks will kill the Mortar, which is, I think, smart. It looks like the way Baller's playing this deck is like sort of the slow, grindy game with chopping blocks.
Yeah. But I don't think he plays Fester, though.
No. I don't think... There's like a lot of different ways to use chopping blocks. A lot. And Baller is like sort of the default way when people are like, I'm going to build a chopping blocks deck, because it's mostly like you build a Forsaken Waste deck, include a couple things that help you kill champions or control life, and then put chopping blocks in.
Thingy had a really good chopping blocks. Devil's Wrath, he had a really cool chopping blocks deck with Mercy.
Mercy.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was fun.
I mean, that deck, you can still build it if you want to build it. The deck's out there. And that one's much more about using. It's like really, really aggressive about controlling life totals, and its goal is pretty much to like get chopping blocks out really fast, and then just constantly fight and abuse chopping blocks and mercy, in order to generate Nora.
Exactly.
It's a much more specific type of chopping blocks deck. Stays much lower resource than I think Baller does. And their Fish Kisser moves in Draconic Pulsar.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Again, Devil's Wrath is playing that in his Skizik right now.
Yeah.
He's been playing quite a bit, and he's playing Skizik. He's been playing that spell for a while.
That makes sense. It's looking at it, it's not a bad spell for 35 Nora.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's slightly restricted AoE, but you get some alright damage out of it towards the middle.
Yeah. It looks cool too. Nice animation.
Yeah, that's a burly Fish Kisser.
56 plus buffered. It's gonna be hard to get through, especially. I mean, does here? Good question to you. If you have Soul Reeve, does it go through?
The buffer?
Yeah.
Yep. Soul Reeve ignores loss of life attacks. Ignore absolutely everything except for raw defense, as in the defense stat.
Oh, okay.
So if he's turtled, if he has impervious, if he has a buffer, if he has tough, if he has ranks of resistance to any element, totally ignores all that stuff. Sort of why Soul Reeve is good is because it helps you like clean out a bunch of stuff that your opponent does.
Yeah.
I sort of doubt Baller runs Soul Reeve though. It doesn't seem like his kind of spell.
The good thing about because Forsaken Waste doesn't have a lot of like the things you usually need in a meta deck, like detection, cleanse, and all that kind of stuff. But if you have Soul Reeve, you don't really need that. You don't really need it because I mean, it get past, you know, you don't need to cleanse a lot of the time because of it. You don't need to purge. It's alright. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's Forsaken Waste, like they have some of those tools, but you're right in that like not to the sort of standards of other factions. Like they have one piece of spot cleanse, literally one, which is split with other decks. Their detection options are like almost universally bad.
Except for the Vulture.
But they sort of get around it by being able to attack problems in different ways, like the Soul Reeve or Soul Reaver or something.
What was that?
Whoa, Soul Cage.
Soul Cage.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really old school. What expansion was that?
I think that's a release set.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got that release set background and everything, but it's good for his deck, and that's actually really brutal against the buffering because the buffer will absorb damage, and so there's no way that Unruiz can break the paralysis with damage. He's going to need to cleanse it off. So that's a good response. It's also just generally strong with chopping blocks because chopping blocks are loss of life.
Oh, but then now he has the Fauna Restoration.
Yeah. It's a pretty good relic.
Yeah, I mean, full heal pretty much.
Yeah.
Max heal almost.
You're just gonna back out.
And it has cleanse, or it used to have cleanse. It doesn't anymore, huh? Interesting.
No, it doesn't have cleansing Nora anymore. I think that was removed and the relic dropped by like 15 Nora or something.
Okay.
Oh,
whoa. Ah. Okay, well, I guess the Manic still goes, but it doesn't do the damage. Yeah. That's funny. So Manic still goes off.
It's not activated movement. Yeah, it's. I was wondering how that would work. I was wondering if Manic would still move it. Obviously, it's not going to attack because paralysis prevents any attack triggers from happening. But Manic is shift move like Fascinate, which means that it can't do knockback damage, and it also doesn't like spend any AP. And that makes sense that it gets around paralysis because I think Fascinate does as well. Like Fascinate can move a paralyzed champion, so I think Manic can do the same thing. I'm not sure if that holds universally true for things like stun. That makes some sense.
Makes some sense. Yeah, sadly, I feel like. I don't know.
That laying down that Despoil was an okay move. It sort of deprived him of a Nora Globe a little bit, but not a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's okay. The Skizik Alchemist dies now, and yeah. You can tell that Baller uses Blood Fueled there so that his Blood Fiend dies, so that both chopping blocks will hit the Skeezic Alchemist, so that the Scoured effect will kill it.
Yep. It's a good move by him.
So
And now
you
it's-
always want to be checking where those are going to hit.
Yep. See what's gonna happen next. I mean, his shrine is already pretty banged up too. He's at 37.
Yeah. I think he can afford to do that though, because Baller is playing like chopping blocks, and those sorts of decks do not usually have tools to attack a shrine in any way, and he's not running like Spell Trap or anything. So I feel like Unruiz is probably just going to deploy some combat champion at this top right font and defend. Yeah, and I was about to say, like, another Fish Kisser makes a lot of sense here. It's good against Scour.
Yeah, because
good against a lot of stuff.
Because of tough,
and I think the right move for Baller is to grab that globe and then like get the hell out.
Yeah, deploy something.
He just wants to escape back to his shrine and keep grinding value. Because if he just moves in with the Putrid Creeper here, I feel like Fish Kisser could reasonably win that fight. I mean, that's actually an important thing to check. But if Fish Kisser is putting out 16 damage around,
anything with Manic as well. You're just like, alright, Zulos.
It's sort of a tricky spot for Zulos because Fish Kisser can
run up again,
move, and get a Manic attack.
Yeah. Or get the font, depending. And then he has to run, and then the Zulos has to run into the font. He can't just like stay off in the distance.
Yeah.
So it's like either he goes one more and it hits the Zulos, or he goes in the font and then he'll be one away from the Zulos, but he'll have taken the font and he'll be in the way of the Zulos to get to the font.
He won't have actually taken the font because the Manic trigger happens prior to fonts checking for occupation. So he will, no matter where he moves, like he actually has to move to only a couple specific spots if he wants to.
He has to be right next to the if he's right next to the font, you know.
Actually, all he needs to do is move 2 spaces forward because Torton Fish Kisser is going to move to the, what would that be, like southwest, because of positioning.
It's pretty nice though. Like, they're both at the same amount of damage right now, or health. So they both took the damage from the chopping blocks. Now he changed it though. He got the Boglight crystal, so gained life siphon and heals for 10.
Yeah, it looks like he's willing to give up the font.
Or maybe he hopes to like kill it fast enough.
Well, I mean, give up. Oh, he doesn't need to worry about giving up middle font just yet because Font of Restoration is there.
Yeah. And he's one space away to capture it himself.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And that's one of those really subtle ways in which, well, not so subtle, but in which Necrosis can be really powerful because that, if he had had one more Necrosis trigger, Zulus could have moved into the font.
Yeah.
That the big thing about Necrosis is that even in small increments, it changes a lot of like font math. And the difference between having to spend 3 AP versus 6 AP to get into a font is actually really big when you're deploying a champion.
Exactly. How late is over where you're at right now? Because you're in Texas, right?
Yeah, it's like 5:30 right now in the afternoon, 17:30.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to sleep soon. It's like 1 in the morning right now.
Oh dang, yeah, dude, you're up pretty late. Baller goes for Essence Drain, and he gets 2 taps for what's that gonna be, like 8 apiece, 7 apiece.
6 apiece.
Was that? Oh yeah, Sunderland's bonus. Right. Yeah. Gotta remember that. 6 apiece, which means that the Fish Kisser will survive at like 2 HP.
Yeah.
And Baller's running out of time, and I think Putrid Creeper then dies.
Does he?
Yeah. Well, let's see. If you get, there's Chain Lightning. So that's a kill on Fish Kisser.
Yeah.
Boglight Crystallize.
There we go. Gets the font, so then he can't double hit or triple hit. Put it that way. Can't triple hit now.
Yeah. And now Henri's forced to deploy to go to mid font. But this is exactly the kind of board state Baller wants to see. He is up 1 font with the other 2 contested, which means that he's gaining a small incremental advantage. Players don't have a lot of fonts, and there's a very sparse number of champions on the board, which means that the proportional value of chopping blocks ticks is much higher, which means that having control over the chopping blocks is much more important, and having a deck built around them is also much more important.
So smart. I never think about these things. When I'm playing a game, I'm just like, let's do some damage.
I've looked at chopping blocks decks a lot, so I've like had to think about how this specific kind of deck works.
Ah, okay. Man, there's another Essence Drain. Dude, I swear.
Yep.
I'd be so pissed right now if I was him. I'd be like, God damn, all these spells. Right,
yeah, well, it's what Baller wants to be doing, is when you're playing for like low resources, you cast spells and kill stuff.
Yeah.
But that buffer he's probably
yeah.
just gonna sort of wait through the buffer. It's probably not even worth attacking it.
Yeah,
he
just
just
run
sort of
away.
runs to the other side of the font.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a burnout AP. And Zulos has Death Pact, which means he can efficiently injure that Marsh Warden, who has to get in the font.
Why didn't he get that font though?
Which font?
The one in the middle. Why doesn't he have it?
Because Baller has only just moved into it this turn.
Oh. But he...
Remember, his Zulos was 1 square away last turn, and he
yeah,
just
okay.
spent 2 AP to get in.
There he goes. Now he's running.
Yeah, just moving away. I mean, he can't really get out of attack range, so he's just gonna...
Yeah, next turn he's dead. Yeah, he has also Zulos has another cool combo with the it was Bile Zombie, where he Death Pact a champion and then he drains the Bile Zombie, and then the zombie kills himself. That's also nice.
That's always really good. It's essentially like a bunch of free HP for Zulos.
Yeah, and free damage. Well, free 50% of their damage. Even though it's kind of insane how Zulos has to have Death Pact while Pit Spawn has the other attack.
Death Touch?
Death Touch. Because Death Touch is way stronger, because you don't kill yourself in this process.
Yeah, Death Pact does have the range though. It goes out to 5 range as opposed to 2, which on Zulos I think just makes it a better ability because he doesn't want to be that close to opposing champions.
Yeah, that's true. I guess.
It's unfortunate that it just bothers me that Drain is range 4 and Zulos has 2 other range 5 abilities, his attack and Death Pact. It's like a minor thing, and I don't really know if they should change that or anything. But
well, I don't know if we caught this, but the Ephemeral Restoration, healing the Fish Kisser.
Yep.
So now.
So Fish Kisser is still very much in the game.
Yeah.
But I think Baller can like throw down a. Well, Chain Lightning wouldn't be the right move here because then that still means his Putrid Creeper gets chopped up. I mean, if he puts out, he needs like 4 damage or something on that Marsh Warden. Let's see, 11, 15. He needs 5 damage on it. 5 damage is like the ideal amount of damage to deal to that. I'm not sure if he has any ways to manipulate HP for that though.
What's the cooldown on his Steel Life? I should put those a while ago, wasn't it?
It should be 8 turns.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it has AP, so he can't Steel Life it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess just another Paralyze then. Well, there's the.
There's that. And he's, yeah. Whoa, oh, Sunderland's bonus, okay. So that actually saves him 5 life on the Putrid Creeper. Yeah, which actually keeps Putrid Creeper alive, which is a pretty big deal. And it gets him the font, with no recourse for Unruis. So the Sunderland's bonus actually, in a strange twist, working very much against Unruis to the point where it might lose him the...
I'm gonna mute myself real quick, right? So you can keep talking.
Yeah, he's gonna double Marsh Song. Okay. So I don't think Baller has a way out for Putrid Creeper here. This is where Consume is like really strong is that he could like put a polluted martyr out there and then just eat it. But I think his best option is just to double attack Fish Kisser. And yeah, like you were asking earlier, what's the what exactly is Henri's playing? I think the Marsh Warden makes it pretty clear that he's just running sort of good stuff junk, just whatever mix of these two factions he feels is best. Fish Kisser is such an incredibly solid champ. I mean, he's always been pretty good, but tough 3 defense and Manic means that he's great against pretty much everything in the game. And Ponderous does a good job of offsetting various costs. Because 13 damage Manic when you don't have to really rely on your own attack is very good. And yeah, putting down a Blood Fiend and draining it, that makes a lot of sense. Blood Fiend is a great resource for raw HP if you have any way to manipulate or use that. Oh, Fallen Hero. That's I think somewhat underplayed champ. I actually like a couple are playing that. It's sort of a cute play because it has Hunter Iron Fist. Well, not in this game specifically, but a cute inclusion because it has Hunter Iron Fist, and Iron Fist can be a very rough matchup for chopping blocks sometimes. I'm not sure if Ballballer runs Tome of Hate or what, but Scorn is also definitely the right upgrade pick. And aside from that, you know, it's just an okay bag of stats. So Fish Kisser Manic's in, but Ballballer is up 2 fonts to 1 with 3 champions out, which means he has enough presence on the board to essentially leverage what he has out right now for the rest of the game.
Alright, I'm back. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Alright, good. Just making sure. Sorry about that. My girlfriend just came home from work.
No, good deal.
Yeah, it's okay.
So yeah, I think Ballballer's probably got this one sealed up at this point. It should be very, unless those Marsh songs give Henri's the momentum he needs to sort of make a swing back, which I doubt. Marsh Song is actually thinking about it more like kind of a bad play there against chopping blocks because it makes you so dry on champions for a while.
Yeah. I mean, that's 10 Nora, plus the 8 Nora. So we're getting an extra 28 Nora, which is nice. You know, it's I guess two extra fonts. But if he, yeah, exactly. If Baller just rushes, then he should have this.
Yeah. All he needs to do is be really aggressive. That's the big thing. Like he has enough. He has enough bodies on the board to give him like baseline presence, which is all that he really needs. And from there, he just casts a bunch of spells, like there, Despoil for value and to keep his opponent sort of locked down.
How much is Despoil actually?
Like 30, 35. It's really good.
Oh, there it is. 30. Yeah, 30.
30, yeah. But you're usually getting like 1, maybe 2 globes for that and some DMZ, so it often pays for itself in a way. It's a strong spell.
You know what would be really overpowered? If the font deployment zone from Creepers was also increased the DMZ.
Yeah, so that would be incredibly strong. You don't say. Actually, so when Dust Creeper was changed away from being the like globe munching machine that it used to be,
yeah.
It was given some DMZ synergy. Like I think it had like hidden DMZ or like domain DMZ, and then Dark Sanctuary, which meant it could pull units around in DMZ. And I was like, huh, why would you obviously I'm not gonna be playing Dust Creeper now that has this kind of build, that's fine, whatever. But like what was Sock's rationale for doing these things?
Yeah.
And I asked him and he said, oh, I thought that Necrosis expanded your Dead Magic Zone as well, like your DMZ as well as your SDZ. I was like, no sock. I wish you would be hearing a lot more complaints about worms if that were the case.
That's funny that he himself didn't know though about his
yeah.
own...
I mean, it's such an underplayed theme. Like nobody runs it. Few people like get how it works. So
yeah, I guess it's true. It's still funny though.
yeah. But yeah, transfiguring once you're against Forsaken Waste. If Baller just drops down Tome of Hate like there's if he deploys a champion at bottom font and drops Tome of Hate, then it's very much over. Because transfigured, he has on Ruiz is just fighting an uphill battle. If you have to transfigure against chopping blocks or most Forsaken Waste decks, then you're in deep shit. Like either you might win the game, or you are definitely going to lose, because your opponent's goal is then to just kill all your champions, and because that's what Baller already wants to be doing. It's gonna be rough.
I didn't actually see how he killed the fish killer at the northeast font. How do you do that?
Fish kisser?
Yeah.
It rushed down. It rushed down, and he did like Essence Drain or something. Oh, Steel Life. Steel Life.
Good old Steel Life.
That's a pretty good spell.
You don't say.
I mean, I think people like that spell more than I like that spell, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
Just outside of specific situations, I don't like having Helion in Forsaken Wastes. Not in like a design sensibility or anything, but I just don't think it's that valuable for what Forsaken Wastes is really good
But
at.
doesn't it cost like very little, like 30 Nora or something?
It used to cost 35. It costs 40 Nora.
Okay, still, it's a like a net change of 30. You know, it's 15 to you and 15 away from them. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I get why people like it, and I understand that it in some situations is a strong spell. And for what Baller is running with chopping blocks, like it makes total sense because it helps you do a lot of control over HP.
Yeah.
But in general, in Forsaken Wastes, I think you're just better off investing in other things. Or using different kill spells. Like Soulbane. Soulbane doesn't give you the healing, but it doesn't have the AP restriction, and it can curse your opponents, which can steal a bunch of AP.
Yeah. Well, he has the Bile Zombie out now, which he can then again do the drain combo. So it just drains self-destruct.
Which he's probably getting that Bile Zombie out just because it's hell for the Shrine to fight that, or the Lemzu to fight that.
Lemzu. I wonder why he hasn't surrendered yet. I would have surrendered probably like 5 minutes ago, to be honest.
Maybe he thinks he still has a chance. Maybe he's just playing it out. I mean, some people like to do that, which I sort of get.
Yeah, a lot of the time, I mean, for Tiny Dragon it works out.
Yeah, I mean, Tiny Dragon it works out, but that's mostly because people don't know how to close out games. And Tiny Dragon actually backs off after he transfigures, as opposed to rushing to shrine into the enemy.
I never got why would you actually transfigure your shrine and then not rush with him to like get that extra champion in, you know? Because
well,
if you're transfiguring, then you're pretty much in deep shit anyway, right?
It depends.
Or you're afraid of a shrine rush.
Yeah, usually Tiny Dragon transfigures because he wants the muscle that his shrine supplies. Like when he plays Shattered Peaks, he would transfigure because it gives him an Overseer unit and something that gives him a bunch of bonus HP and can do like the Lightning Strike attack, which is all very valuable. And because he wants to stop his opponent from moving forward. And if he has his shrine out, his shrine represents like a bunch of 20 damage attacks, and his opponent can't really move into that. And once Tiny has had time to build up, he knows how to handle a standoff better than a lot of other players. So it's essentially saying, like, I know how to handle standoff, I know that my deck and me as a player can handle certain situations better than you, so I'm just going to make, like, sort of a bad play and push that situation.
Nice. Lifesteal his own champion?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah. Yep, and then Drain. Lifesteal his own champion because he very much wants to keep Zulus alive. Because if he had lost Zulos, Unruiz would sort of have a shot at getting back into this.
Yeah. And he killed the
Now though,
launcher himself too.
Yeah, and it puts Snogvi under the blocks as opposed to Zulos.
Yeah. Now what's gonna be shit is once the Lemsu gets under the blocks, which is soon.
Yeah. Pretty much once your avatar is getting hit by chopping blocks, you've probably lost.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing like Sundered Lands or something and you have a way out and you can have some HP control. But he's going to be taking at least 4 more damage, which puts him down to 31, which is a big problem.
Yeah. And he gets the damage from Grenadier. Did you use Long Fuse Bomb? Yeah. Ah, there's GG. Alright.
I don't think he did, but yeah, that's game. Mm-hmm.
Alright, well that's going to be the last video for tonight. And I'll upload them and put them on the forums. But it was fun. I'll ask you again tomorrow now that I have, or another day, put it that way. Now that I have Discord working, alright?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, see you around.